Welcome to this video series of interviews from different companies, and in all these series we are discussing about the interviews and the process which are either cracked by me or somebody else who wants to stay anonymous. But there is enough proof gathered that this interview is genuine, which I will show you in this video also. And also there is a note that all the answers discussed here are mostly correct, and I will explain both the perspectives, like what is the actual answer given by the interviewee and what is the most correct answer if that is not correct. And also, if you found that there is another most closest answer to what is discussed in this video, you can mention it in your comment section, and I will take it from there and update in the description section so that everybody else who watches the video, they'll know the updated and correct answers than what is discussed in this video. This video is about interview experience of an anonymous candidate for the company called Wipro. And Wipro has 3 rounds: technical, managerial and HR. But this candidate was told a different set of rounds. We will see that. But this interview is basically for a candidate who is automation lead, and this candidate is interviewed for Selenium with Java. However, you can see the email. The email says that it is for Python automation position, and this is the L1 interview. So you can see the details over here. And this interview went on Teams, and the candidate couldn't clear the first round. So we'll discuss only one round in this video series. So let's see that. The first round went for 45 minutes and we have 14 questions in total. Now let's start it. The first question is that he explained his project and the role also, and he asked whether I am okay with it. So from his explanation, I felt like the BU client is interfacing. I don't know what does it exactly mean, and it looked like an application that includes BPO services. So in short, the feeling what I got is this project is into BPO services. Though it is a company like Wipro Technologies, I felt like okay, since we know that Wipro also has BPO services, so I felt like okay, maybe they are talking about a project which is for BPO services. So that's the feeling I got it. So the moment I got the feeling, I lost the interest, in fact. But yeah, we continued with the interview. So the second question is the most common question that is asked: explain about yourself. So here I explained about myself from the professional experience point of view. So I just leave this part. Now moving on to the third question. Third question is write a code to find out vowels from the string. So basically this is how he asked me like derive vowel words from the string. So when he said somehow, I don't know, in that moment of time my thinking has gone into this way, like okay, if this is an example, I have to make a meaningful word out of it which is of with vowels. So I mean, obviously, like any word will have vowels in general in it. So my understanding has gone in this direction that okay, I have to make a meaningful word out of a given string which is unordered. So just to think this itself, like manually, if you have to make a word out of it, you should be knowing some English words, right? So this is more of like thinking process. So if you have to code it, you have to form different combinations of words and compare it with the dictionary word. So that's how my imagination has gone, and I felt like it is impossible to answer this question during this given discussion time itself. So I said I couldn't write it, but I think my entire thinking has gone into the wrong direction. So probably what he would have asked is, probably what he tried to ask is, he want me to extract the vowels out of the string, and the vowels is like a kind of word, though it doesn't make any sense. It's like a vowel word finally. So since he used this word called vowel word, it made me look like, since he talked about word, I felt like it should have a meaning. So there it went into a different direction. So what I'm going to tell you is, when you have some doubts about the question which you are asked for, if you are having some doubts, it is better that you ask the interviewer again to reframe the question, or to repeat the question, or you explain your version of understanding and tell him if that is what he meant by that. So this small understanding went into a different direction, so I lost a lot, a sort of impression at this question itself. So like, but given to the actual meaning of this question, it's about drawing vowels out of this given string, and show that word. That's the ask here. So now let's see a demo of that. This is the question. So this is the string which we have, and so what I have done is, I have created a class called round1. So here we can see, okay, this is Wipro technical questions. So for round1 is the class, and there is this main method all the time, which will give the control to the execution. The main method will be called and the script is executed. So this is common. So inside this main method, I have created an object for the class round1, and in that round1 class, I have created a method called wow string, which means like wow word, which means like vowel word. So what I have done is, I pass the string into this method, which is defined in this class, and it has returned me vowel word, which I am going to print it. So now let's see what is inside this method wow word. Okay, so it took the string as an argument, and we have two for loops, the outer loop and the inner loop. So the outer loop is repeating for the size of the the length of the string which is given. So the loop is iterated through these many number of times, so that it can cover each character of the given string. So that's the outer loop. And the inner loop is, what the inner loop is going to do is, it is going to compare, it is going to run for these many times, to cover the expected character array. So I have declared a character array, sort of expected result. So I have stored all the vowels over in the character array, which is expected, a char array. So I use that array for my inner loop. So in the inner loop, what I am doing is, I am taking the vowel, I'm taking the vowel, sorry. So I am comparing each vowel against the first character of the given string. So if there is a match, so I'll compare the first character of the given string with A first, then E, and then I, O, U. So I will repeat this till there is a match. So once there is a match, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to store it in my word string. So each time when there is a match, I'm appending that string to the matched character, which is a vowel. So finally I'm going to get a word which consists of all the vowels in there. So that is what I'm printing. So let me run this script now. So this is run, and see, it has captured all the vowels, A, E, and then A, U, I, E, I, O, U. Okay, let me change this and let me run again. Now let's see, like, it is able to capture the vowel load or not. Okay, so first vowel is A, U, I, E. Okay, so it's working, right? So this is the simple question that is asked, but somehow the understanding took into a different direction altogether, and finally it may look like the interviewer, who is anonymous here, is not able to answer this question itself. Okay, so just be careful. If you are not clear, don't hesitate to ask the question again and get yourself clarified. Okay, now moving on to the fourth question. So he asked whether I have used id the web locator. Okay, so I said, oh, okay, yes, I have used it. And then the next question is, when do you prefer to use XPath? So he asked me like, when do you prefer to use XPath? So I told him like XPath is a flexible solution. So the XPath strategy is a better strategy, but the thing is, when you have to use it, when you prefer to use it, I prefer to use it like when there is no unique locator strategy. Like for example, if you try to use the traditional strategies such as using by id, tagged, and then class name and the name selector. So when these selectors or locator strategies are not helpful in identifying the web element uniquely, then we go for XPath, wherein we have a combination of locators. So when element is not located by one locator, so you will have a choice to use a combination of locators together, giving a unique locator for that, identifying that web element. So that is possible through XPath. So that is when we prefer to use XPath. So that is one thing. And normally, like when the nature of the web element is dynamic, if it is not a static web element, then also you will go for XPath. So that is what I have answered. And since many of you guys might be working in real-time projects, and you may find some more advantages also, like some more situations where you prefer to use XPath over the other locator strategies. So you can mention such uh, experiences in the comment section. Okay, so now let's talk about the sixth question. Okay, here, when you don't prefer XPath. The previous question is when you prefer, and now when you don't prefer. So answer to this question is like, when you have a way of identifying web elements uniquely just by using the static selectors, then you go for those selectors instead of going for XPath. So both of them will work, but the only difference will be like those static web elements locators could be faster than XPath, because XPath has to traverse all across the path in order to identify that element. But if you use a static web locator such as id, class name, name, tag name, they will just directly touch the root of the web element, and the browser will identify it quickly, and then the action is taken fastly, so that finally the script will be executed faster. So that's why in cases where you don't have, where you are able to identify the web element by the direct web locators, which are static locators, then you don't go for XPath. So that is what it is. And when obviously when performance takes priority over the other aspects, and when you are achieving the same thing what XPath is also achieving in terms of identifying the web element, instead of choosing XPath, prefer the other locators. And also, if the applications are mounted on Internet Explorers, for example, if the client application works designed to work on only Internet Explorer, then since the XPath, when using XPath as a web locator, since IE browser has performance issues with the XPath, in such cases also you don't prefer to use XPath. So you might have better answers, so you can mention them in the comment section so that it will be helpful for others. So please do it. And moving on to the seventh question, when do you prefer IDE as web locator? Okay, so this is like a repetition of fifth and sixth questions, but just in a different way. And also we'll touch the same points which you have discussed in fifth and sixth questions. Okay, so when do you prefer IDE as a web locator? You choose IDE because it is the safest and fastest locator options, so it should be the first choice all the time. Only when IDE is not helping to identify the web element uniquely, then you go for the other locators. Okay, so IDE is faster because it is a root attribute and it calls the document.getElement by id, which is very much optimized by many browsers. So that's why using id as the locator strategy is faster. Okay, that is the cases when you actually prefer id as the web locator. So again, not to mention, please leave your opinion in the comments. Okay, question number 8, when you don't prefer id as your web locator. Okay, so again, like when id is not just enough to identify web element uniquely, and when there are chances that when you use id during the runtime, it is not enough to identify the web element just by using the id. In such cases, you have to go for the combination of locator strategies, a compound locator strategy. So in such cases, you don't go for id as the web locator. So in short, like when the web element is dynamic, you don't prefer to use the id if you believe that the id will be changing each time when the page is dynamically loading. Okay, now moving on to the ninth question. What are the different web locators that you have worked on? So I just named all the web locators like id, link text, partial link text, tag name, class name, css, and XPath. So likewise, and the tricky part, like why you have, I mean, what are the different web locators that you have worked on means, and if you are telling about the entire list, then they can ask many questions like, okay, why did you use id, why you didn't use class name in some instance, why name, why not link text, why partial link text, why not link text, why css, why not XPath. So the questions can vary from, I mean, based on this answer. I think that's the purpose, but somehow we didn't discuss this much of topics. We moved on to the 10th question. The 10th question is the common challenges you have faced in your automation. This is very important question, and there are many ways to answer this question, and the best way is answer this from your experiences from your project. So that time I think, I mean, in fact, not me, like the person who took the interview, he told that he's not able to answer this clearly, but he answered something like to handle the synchronization failures and stale element related exception failures. So these are the challenges, which is obviously correct, which are actually the same challenges faced by many of the automation engineers. Also, like he explained something, a recent failure due to work from home, the synchronization weights which were working earlier are failing now due to change in the speeds of the internet. So he explained this thing. I mean, so I think the next question is on this problem. So the interviewer has asked the next question like, how do you make the automation robust that is independent of internet speeds? Okay, so since he said like he started facing new issues after the work from home due to variation in the internet speeds, which was stable in his office. So the next question popped up on the same explanation. He just asked like, how do you make your automation robust that it is independent of internet speeds? So somehow he tried to explain something which he is not clear of. So this question has come in, and again he failed to answer this question. He just said like using Selenium speeds and fluent weights, and okay, he discussed something which is like a messed up into the situation. That's what he explained. But you can mention in your comments your opinions on this particular question so that it will be helpful. Okay, so don't forget to mention this your views to answer this question in the comments. Now moving on to the 12th question. How many test cases you have automated? So the answer is like he has automated around 500 test cases. And the 13th question is, have you automated 10,000 questions? So from the tone that this question is asked, it looks like the project has too many test cases and he is expecting somebody to handle a large number of test cases, but the answer to this question, he said, is no, he didn't answer this question. And from the tone of the interview, he felt like he is not looking for this candidate. Like, instead he is looking for somebody who has handled a lot of test cases, probably. Not sure whatever the reasons, but based on the no I mean voice from the interviewee, the candidate felt like okay, he's not going to make it out. So the 14th question went on like, do you have any questions? And the candidate has asked like, the interview process, and when he asked this question, like, he was told that there will be 4 more technical rounds, which seems to be not entirely true at all. And since he said like there could be 4 more rounds, the candidate for a moment felt like okay, he'll have some more rounds, and he started asking about the rounds. And the interview also has started explaining more about how the 4 rounds are going to be, and he's going to explain, he was explaining the project and how it is. So the candidate for a moment thought that okay, based on the discussion around this question, he felt like okay, he is going to get the uh, second round, irrespective of his thoughts earlier, for the remaining, I mean the rest of the 13 questions. Finally he felt like okay, he's going to go for the second round based on the discussion he had for this particular question. So okay, that's all about the 14th questions. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, click on the like button, and if you like it even more, don't forget to subscribe this channel, and also don't forget to spread a word to your friends who are looking for such content. And also, if you have any questions, also if you want to join this mission with us, please do write to sharetesttube@gmail.com. And also, if you have missed any of these videos, and also if you are a person who likes to read the content as this, please visit 4verstyles.blogspot.com. Thank you for watching this video.